Hey, what's up, everybody? We are out in Skyhold today talking about some more changes that came with patch 5 recently. This has to do with the bleeding effects being removed from the game. All bleed effects were removed from crafting and from all of the item stats in the game and replaced with a Sunder effect. Um, a good thing in my opinion. Bleed, generally things die so quickly. The bleed is most often just useless as a stat on an item. However, Sunder, it can never hurt to have something, even if it's just temporarily, have less armor. The Sunder effect is something that gets applied either when you attack something or something attacks you. Um, and it is an effect that's already in the game and applied by some of your abilities. My understanding of Sunder is literally that it applies this status effect to an enemy and temporarily reduces their armor. It's kind of like a temporary armor penetration debuff on them. So they didn't make it obvious in the patch notes that this happened, so I figured I'd point it out since it wasn't really a documented change. I also wanted to show you some of the crafting items that changed, as well as point out some of the unique purple items in the game that had their stats affected by this. For daggers, the Bleeder of Souls and the Wyvern Tooth were affected. For Greataxes, Rebuke of the Sunderland and Glittering Darmallon. Greatswords, Rendor's Blade, Certainty, and Verdict. I'll show you what the new effect looks like here since I just said Verdict. I know I've got that in my inventory. So you can see the previous 3% bleed on hit was replaced with a 3% Sunder on hit. So none of the percentages changed, just the effect. Let's see, where were we? Great swords. Helmets, Dread, that special helmet you get for Iron Bull by doing his quests. That went from 12% bleed on hit to 12% Sunder on hit. So once again, no percentage changes. Medium armor, Masterwork Prowler armor, and Masterwork Scout armor. Instead of being bleed on being hit, now they're Sunder when hit. Rings, the Superb Ring of Bleeding changed to a Superb Ring of Sundering. So that 10% bleed on hit is now a 10% Sunder on hit. Shields, the Wedge of Destiny, that big cheese wheel that you find out in Crestwood, that changed as well. Stabs, the Blizzard's Path changed. And for swords, the Sweetish Fingers changed. And the Sweetish Fingers is that sword that you get from the Templar Commander out in the Hinterlands very early on in the game. But let's go check out what happens with some of the new crafting items here. Or sorry, the crafting items that were changed rather. Go into crafting materials and take a look at Deepstalker Hide. You can see on the tooltip, it's a bug. It's going to be fixed. It just happens that they haven't gotten around to it yet. I don't think anybody pointed out in beta testing. So Deepstalker Hide, this is now going to apply a 1% either bleed target or Sunder target on hit or Sunder attacker on being hit. Dragon Bone is changed, and you can see in the offensive slot there was a bleed there. Dragonling Scales, Gurgut Webbing, Hardened Gurn Hide, Phoenix Scales, Vargust Scales, and Wyvern Scales. And so you don't think I'm crazy and that it's honestly just not been changed in the game from a crafting perspective. If we go up and do, let's go craft a weapon real quick. Engraved Beard Axe. Use some iron, and then for the offensive slot, go choose Dragon Bone. You can see the offensive slot gives a 2% chance to bleed target on hit. Now when we apply it, watch the right hand side of the screen, and you can see that it is the plus 8% Sunder on hit. So it is actually applying to the weapon on crafting for the final stats. The tooltip has just not been updated. We'll throw another Dragon Bone in there, and go down here and throw some High Ever Weave on it. So once we craft it, the final name of the item, like the default properties that get assigned to it, are still associated with bleed. So it's called the Bleeding Brutal Battle Axe. I'm assuming once it gets fixed, it'll be the Sundering Brutal Battle Axe. But so that's an example of weapons that were crafted with the existing items with the new stats. So a little funniness with that stuff, but all in all, at the end of the day, once the crafting is done, the stats are still there. Go over here and do craft a little armor. Let's find something that has, there we go, Superior Battlemaster armor. And so for the defense slot, Deepstalker Hide, you can see it's applying that Sunder on hit there, even though the tooltip says otherwise. Down here, we'll grab something else. I don't think anything else had it on. A Hardened Gurn Hide has offense and defense on it. So you can see it's applying the Sunder on hit on the armor and the weapons when you craft them. It just so happens that the tooltips are a little wonky right now. Same with the default naming of the items, but luckily you can rename them to whatever you want anyways. But just wanted to point that out as well. So a few changes that kind of came in under the radar with the latest patch, and I wanted to point those out to you. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Take care.